What up, family? It's the Bite Size Breakdown crew, and we are back continuing on with our Best Picture nomination series for Bigger Bite. And today we are going to be talking about Sentimental Value, directed by Joachim, thank you, Trier, and starring what I might argue is possibly the most nominated. I mean, not like by numbers wise, but the way it works percentage wise of like main ensemble versus who actually gets nominated of the entire run of Best Pictures. But today, whether they're returning because the other videos already showed, or for the first time, we got people here you'll see again. First off, one good founder of Bite Size, Nick. Nick, how you feeling?
I'm feeling good. I think the point you were trying to get across was per capita, like there's basically 4 main performances and all of them were nominated, as opposed to like a bigger ensemble like Sinners or One Battle.
And that's something I want to talk about. Yes. Adriano, how you feeling?
I'm feeling good. I appreciate the explanation, that because I was also confused for a second there, but all right, that makes sense. Yes, that is accurate.
Nick has my back. I go off the cuff here, and sometimes I make sense. Sometimes I make a little bit of sense and need explanation. No explanation needed for this gentleman right here. I forgot the order we're releasing this, so you either are seeing him again or you're seeing him for the first time in the series of 10 films. He has upgraded from a special guest to dude's just here. Harrison Martin, Flicks Frog himself, fellow North Carolina film critic. How you feeling, sir?
I'm feeling good. Thanks for having me again, or for the first time, depending on when you see this. And ready to talk movies. So,
hey, as Luda mentioned, back for the first time. We'll see what happens. I actually want to, because we have not talked about it on Bite Size yet. What are y'all feelings on this film, just overall? I think this is a weird one where like some people absolutely love it or like it or forget it or don't forget it, and it's there. But a really, really good there. Harrison, I'm going to go to you first. How did you feel about this movie? Because I feel like we're going to get a spectrum of thoughts here.
I really enjoyed the movie. I knew very little about it going in. I actually ended up watching it with my wife. Like our newest kid just woke up, so she was available. She said, "So you watching something? I'll watch with you." And like it starts, and I'm like, "Wait, is this a foreign film?" I didn't realize like nobody's speaking English, and I'm like, "Well." I know Elle Fanning's in it, and I know she's not foreign, and so it didn't. As the more you watch, it switches between English and I think are they speaking Swedish or Norwegian, something like that. So I enjoyed that, the back and forth, and I think it was well acted all around. It was very emotional, very hard to watch at times, just because of the decisions that certain characters are making. But overall, it was a good film. And I agree, it is a movie that's kind of there. I think like in a couple of years, people are not going to really remember Sentimental Value unless it takes home at least one Oscar. Otherwise, it'll just be one of those things that film critics know about. So,
yeah, it's both Norwegian and Swedish. I guess they can switch back and forth. Adriano, what about you, sir?
Probably unsurprising. I thought this movie is absolutely fantastic. I'm a fan of Trier's work in general. I love Louder Than Bombs. I love Oslo. And then the one that most people know him for, at least in our circles, the one that kind of put him on the map, so to speak, was The Worst Person in the World. I think is a modern classic in my eyes. This doesn't hit the highs of that in my eyes, per se, but I just remember my first viewing of this and being like, kind of being around where Harrison was at, where I was like, yeah, it was a great film. I love the directions, immaculate. And I love the performances. I just didn't get hit in the way the others did. And then and I told Nick about this, on my subway ride to my car, everything started to come together because it's such a layered film. Everything started to come together in a way that just started to really gut me. And then the second viewing, I was like, yeah, this movie's fantastic. Yeah, I think this movie's incredible. I will probably be defending it a lot here. And I'm ready to, because I have thought a lot about this film.
I do wonder what people and viewers are going to think about your opinions when you have a poster of Paul Blart Mall Cop sitting behind you.
What do you mean?
But you know what? It's fine. It's fine. That is also I guess,
a Joachim Trier classic.
Modern classic. Nick, how do you feel about Sentimental Value, sir?
Similar to what Adriano said, how it didn't quite land for him, and then it just kind of hit him. I'm still waiting to get hit. I think it's good. I think Sentimental Value is a film that I put into the category of I respect it more than I like it. I liked it, but I'm more impressed with the craft and the performances and things like that. But in terms of the emotional investment, I never got emotionally invested in these characters, and I found that really held me back when it came to watching this film.
I'm somewhat at that point. I don't think I ever fully got emotionally invested, but I was always like interested in what was going on. I guess I'm in the middle where everybody, I rated it as one of the best movies of the year because the respect I have for it trumped the fact that I wasn't emotionally invested. However, I'm a weirdo. I don't need to necessarily get fully emotionally invested to really, really enjoy a film or think it's amazing. I just need to be interested. And I was interested in the entire time. I was interested in the father-daughter dynamics. Elle Fanning saved what I thought was just an okay performance with that one scene, and we'll get into that one scene. And when I say okay, I mean like better than okay, but not like, oh my God. What surprised me the most was Inga Lilleaas. Inga was my standout. And that is going to go into what I was talking about confusingly at the beginning of this. This ensemble is basically 4 leads or 4 main characters, and all 4 of them got nominated. But it did not get nominated for best casting, which kind of surprised me. So like that's what I want to get into. I really think that when you have 3 people who have a really big name for themselves, Stellan, who is getting his career nomination finally, Renate, who is coming up. Did she get nominated for Worst Person in the World?
No, but she should have. But she got a BAFTA nomination.
So off of the heels of everybody thinking she should have got nominated, and Elle Fanning also off of the heels of A Complete Unknown last year, and just everybody knows who she is. How do you pronounce Inga's middle name? Ibsdotter?
Ibsdotter.
Ibsdotter. So Inga Ibsdotter Lilleaas was my absolute standout. Was the one every time she was on screen, she popped. And again, weirdly, it wasn't an over-the-top, extremely like investable thing that like grabbed you because she's doing something specific. All her pain and all her emotions and everything that like went into her performance, she just felt like the realest, most layered person in a film with a lot of real and layered people, but she was the closest I got to being emotionally invested in someone. And doing that when you have those other 3 really standouts just in Hollywood at the moment, it surprised the crap out of me. And I was really surprised because they didn't get best casting. Being nominated, all 4 of them getting those nominations, especially the 2 supporting actresses. That is what surprised me the most.
Well, first of all, I don't want to speak definitively because it's the first year with the category. But as someone who got all 5 of them correct, who predicted all 5, I would say my assumption is because it is just those 4, and 3 of those cases, the role was written for them. There's like the element of discovery with Inga, but that's about it. Whereas the other nominees were so like, you got your A-listers, then you got a whole bunch, you got your big discovery, and then you got a bunch of weird faces on the side. I think that's why it didn't get in the casting. And it's a tricky thing because all 4 of them deserve those nominations. They're all brilliant, not like performances. I think it's been a common theme with Trier's movies that he's really good at writing these layered characters, these really like broken people, and getting his performances to match that level. And all 4 of them knock it out of the park with this. Even like Elle Fanning, who on my first viewing I was like, oh, she's great, but I'm not like, she's so separate from the family drama that I didn't quite like get as invested. My second viewing I was like, wait, what she's doing is kind of brilliant. Like, there's a lot going on with that character that I get why she doesn't get as much credit as the other 3, but she also deserves that nomination. I understand the conundrum of like, oh, all 4 of them are brilliant, but not casting. I get that. but I kind of can make sense of it when you like look at like, oh, it's Marty Supreme with all its weird casting. You know what I mean?
I don't know. For me, it is kind of odd, and I just checked the category again. In watching, I watched Sentimental Value and The Secret Agent back to back, and I thought Sentimental Value was way better than The Secret Agent, in my opinion. A lot of people like that movie. I didn't care for it. I don't think it should be a Best Picture nominee, in my opinion. And I think the cast for Sentimental Value is better than The Secret Agent. So if I can knock one of them out of all the movies, I would knock out The Secret Agent and definitely add Sentimental Value in terms of casting, because I just think it's better as an overall cohesive, so many good actors in it, whereas The Secret Agent is just Wagner Moore, basically, that you're following. So
there's a whole bunch of little side characters in Secret Agent.
Yeah, but I think he's the only one who stands out. Everybody else, to me, except for maybe the guy and his like stepdad or the assassins or whatever, I really didn't care for that movie.
Hey now, we all know who our MVP of it is.
The leg,
Nia Maria, Donna Sebastiana,
Donna Sebastian.
Yes, we heaped praises on the old lady owner of the refugee hideout. She was amazing. She was a standout. And you can go watch the Secret Agent episode of Bigger Bites as we discuss it. But I'm not going to say I'm with Harrison, but I understand it. Like, I get, for me, there were more small standouts throughout the Secret Agent, but I don't think there was anybody in Sentimental Value that like didn't do well. Where Secret Agent, you might say, one person here and there is just there, but and having all four of your leads be that good, that's where I was just a little like, oh, okay, I'm happy for Secret Agent. I'm just surprised for Sentimental Value.
Counter to that sounds like a great ensemble. That's not casting. There is a difference between the two, I would say.
That is a very fair point that I've been thinking about when you said that.
I'm with Rue though. Like I think numbers is something that matters when it comes to casting. Like, to me, I would probably take Secret Agent out, but it's not a film like Sentimental Value that I would put in instead, because I think putting together a 4-piece puzzle is very easy to do, and putting together a 20-piece puzzle is a lot harder to do. And I think when all your performances are lead or supporting, but all kind of lead in their own way, that's not really a casting award. Like, I don't think that's just a well-casted film, but you're all name value people. It's not, aside from Inga. It's they're all marquee names. So I would say a film like The Long Walk would be something that I would think the casting is more impressive of. And I think that even though the argument's probably that the One Battle After Another has all these nominations as well, it's the Regina Halls of the world that are what give it that kind of boost in casting over Benicio and Sean Penn and Leo and all the marquee names. I think it's the other pieces that they have within it that kind of flesh it out. That's something I would give. That's something a Sentimental Value just doesn't have, because it's not written to be that way. So that's where I probably wouldn't have it in the casting category, although I probably wouldn't have Secret Agent, which I did like more than this film, in there either.
Yeah. Harrison, you had talked about some of the decisions the characters made. You can continue to talk about like the performances, but some of the talk about like those decisions, the story, how it plays out, and why you think in a couple of years Sentimental Value might be forgotten by people outside of this little circle.
Just one of the decisions in general, I forget the eldest daughter, the one that he's trying to get into the movie in the beginning, who turns it down, and she's like seeing this guy that she's working with, and the scene where they're on the hike and she's looking at him and finds out he's getting divorced, and she kind of has like the look on her face is almost like a surprise, but like, oh, this is good for me. And then her in like immediately after that moment trying to like kiss him and be with him, like, oh, we don't have to hide anymore. One, even if that was the case, why would you do that there? Like, give it some time to breathe at first. And two, it just seems like you aren't aware of the situation. If he was doing this thing with you before and it was like in secret, what makes you think all of a sudden, if he wanted to be public, he would have said, "Hey, I'm getting divorced," mwah, would have kissed you. And it was just kind of heartbreaking to watch, especially with all the other stuff she had going on. Just the way I understand the issues that she was having with her dad from just, him leaving when they were young. And but like her for most of the film, like refusing to really talk to him, when I feel like a good conversation, not that it would have healed everything right away, but would have done some good. You would have gotten to understand certain things a little bit better. And yeah, it's just one more scene I can say spectacularly. I thought it was active, like when he first meets Elle Fanning and they're getting to know each other and they're hanging out on the beach overnight. I still don't quite know what's going on in that scene, like why they're just hanging out at the beach overnight. And him seeing the guy on the chariot and like talking to her and like paying the guy to let her take off. And I thought that was a very well acted scene by Skarsgård. And it was just kind of confusing to me. Like, I don't understand the decision making behind this. And maybe it's something I missed. It's highly possible I just missed something in terms of the back and forth between English and Viking language,
and
Norwegian. But yeah, just certain decisions, certain characters make. And I understand broken people do broken things. And that does kind of make it more realistic. I mean, I've done things in my life that you think back on, that was just stupid, or that wasn't smart, or why would I ever consider even doing that? So I guess that kind of adds a realism to it. I'm not supposed to understand. But in the moment, it just felt like frustrating, I guess. But
yeah,
again, the realism makes it, I guess, a better acted movie, which is why everybody's nominated.
Yeah, she does some things that aren't like correct, but it's her character in general is just the entire movie. Even like one of our first scenes with her is just her refusing to go on stage because she.
I forgot. Thank you. That too.
On the verge of panic attack. That was one of my favorite scenes in the movie. I was just like, first of all, direction wise, it's so well done. But also just like, why is this person that she's doing that she? We assume at that point, like not like a veteran, but like a seasoned actor, it just cannot get on stage. And it's the same person who the second, like later on at the house, she grabs the face and books it out of the house the second her dad arrives. It's a incredibly broken person. And we're just watching. We find out later that she almost like took her own life. It's entirely, that's part of what made that character in Renate Reinsve's performance, who, quick tangent. Every time I've seen her, I'm just so blown away by her. Like everything she's been in, I'm just so impressed by Renate Reinsve. And in this movie in particular, she's so like, she never does it in a way that was like she's like on the ground sobbing, if that makes sense. She has her cries, but she's never like screaming and shit. And yet she does so much where it's like, oh yeah, why would she just try and kiss this guy immediately in theory? But she makes it in a way where like she genuinely in her brain thinks that that's a good idea.
Yeah, she's almost infantile in the way that she acts, which is kind of, in this film specifically, I mean, which is, it leads towards the difficult relationship with her father and stuff like that. And she does feel almost like a step behind, like someone who doesn't quite know how to adjust to the world, wasn't given the tools to live an adult life all the time. And she makes these kind of what we would view as boneheaded or ill-informed decisions because she just doesn't quite, like, she's not a child in an adult's body, but she's a step behind, that she's just, it's all done on emotion or without thinking, and it's done like spur of the moment, anything she does in the film. And I think the whole point of that is to show that the way she lives her life all comes from the relationship with her father. And I think you were right on, Harrison, when you said it's the realism. And that's why I view this as a film I respect more than I like, because I think they make it very, very realistic feeling. And it doesn't need to be logical, because the illogical decisions that are made are just human error. So I think it works in that sense. but I don't think it provided me with an overwhelmingly compelling story. And the emotional attachment is my knock on it. But I will say that after not being very high on her at all in A Complete Unknown, 2025 is the year that turned me around on Elle Fanning finally. Between this and Predator Badlands, I thought she was my favorite performance in this film. Not the best, but my favorite performance in this film, because I think she had a lot. It's weird to say the only English performance was one of the most difficult ones to do, but when you're living in this world of Nordic language, it is very difficult to do. And I was more impressed with what Elle Fanning was able to do and have her character stand out, but not stick out, if that makes sense. So I give her flowers here, and like I said, this is the first year that I've been like, wow, I get it. I enjoyed 2 Elle Fanning performances, and I'm looking forward to what she does next.
I think you just said kind of what sums up the movie for me. It doesn't stand out, but it sticks out. And like her in particular, she is the one who, that one scene of her turning down, inevitably turning down the role, saying it's not right for her. It's the one that took the performance from, she's interesting, but I think she is like getting away from the main story, and yes, it's connected, but like I don't care about it as much. That scene for me said, oh, that's why she's here. This sums up the reason and brings everything she has done up to this point into clearer vision. I was like, this is why we have her here. This is why, because this movie is intricately wound throughout this family's history at this moment. Like it is the family's history. As you see the explanation from Stellan's character, Gustav. Thank you. I'm looking that up. Gustav talking about his mom, and then we see that final extremely ridiculously directed oneer at the end when they're actually doing the movie. It's funnily enough, go with me here. I just watched Hoppers, and I feel the same way at Hoppers as this one. The movie is more of a sum of its parts. The sum as a whole is better than the individual parts, if that makes sense. While I'm watching the individual things, I'm like, this is cool. I'm liking this. But something then clicks in at the end, or some message goes through, and I then say, oh, that's why this is amazing. Now, looking at everything as a whole, it makes those other parts that I was like, this is all right. This is all right. Inga's great. This is all right. This is all right. This scene right here is amazing. Watching it as a whole together makes me appreciate it a lot more than when Elle was just having difficulty with the lines. Like I was like, okay, fine, but I'd rather get back to the family. That is what kind of hit me with this movie, is by the end of it, I was like, taking it as a whole picture, I see the vision. I see everything about it, and I understand why this is getting so much praise.
Yeah, like it feels like you can look at all 4 characters as almost like living in their own little like film in a way, and they all kind of come back to this cohesive like thing of just maybe less so Elle Fanning, but like trying like people who just definitely need to get their shit together. Like even Fanning's character, where it's just like basically her dealing with the fact that she's just not right for this character. She's just not the right person for this role, and I think that he's just intrinsically less interesting than the other 3, granted, but you know, I think part of the reason why I think a lot of us kind of agree that Inga is the best part is that there's something so gravitating towards her role that she's kind of like the person who has to piece it all together, that like, which is a struggle. Like she's on face value has it all, like has the most going for her. She's got her own family, she's got like a steady career, and yet she's like, hey, I gotta be kind of like the straight man amongst all this brokenness, and it's a heavy weight. And Trier's just so good at character writing, at like writing broken. If you haven't seen Worst Person in the World, like it's a little more like Worst Person in the World is a little more cohesive, if that makes sense, than this. Is a lot more like this is about one person. But sorry about the background noise. But he's so good at like putting it all together. It's a very well articulated film of character writing. That's what Trier's so good at.
Yeah. Quick question: aren't there two versions of The Worst Person in the World? Is there like an American version and a foreign version? But both star Stellan, not Mads Mikkelsen. Isn't he in like both?
Oh, you're thinking about another round.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Confusing the Nordic, I guess, kind of movies. No, but yeah, I understand that. Let's move on to Stellan himself. Adriano, you have been on record saying Sean Penn is running away with this supporting actor. I don't actually know. I think that Stellan still has a chance with this legacy award, giving him something that Sean has already had twice. Benicio has already had once. Between him and Delroy, I don't think Delroy's getting it, but I love to get it. Speak on why is this the one that finally got Stellan the recognition, and does he have any chance of actually coming away with this out of everybody in this category who has a story and a reason to get supporting actor this year?
Well, I can do his chances first. Sean Penn won second BAFTA. It's a done deal. It's over for Sean. In terms of like why is Stellan? I mean, for one, he's so good in this movie. Like he is, like he does such a good job with like a lot of this movie is just sullen silences, and he's so good at like expressing that. He's so because there's something about him where he's like definitely not a great guy. Like there's something obviously twisted about him that he's not doing a great job of fixing. What he does so well is making him not a scumbag. Like there's a very he's an alcoholic. He left his family. There's so many avenues, and part of it is realism. But there's a lot of avenues where an actor, a less talented actor, a less committed actor, would take that and just make him a total sleaze. Like a total, and part of them, I'm sure, is Trier not letting him. But like he's so down to earth in a way where he's like, no, he's not a great person. But there's a dark part. There's like a very like part of him that is trying. Maybe he just can't do it, but he is trying. And Skarsgård presents that in a way that's so believable. Like it's like everyone else in this movie, he does a great job of not overdoing anything. Like he has a whole sequence where he's like intoxicated and like going on a rampage, I guess, where that he winds up sleeping in a park, and yet he does it in a way where his head's down for the most of it. Like that's such a good choice as an actor. Why is it his first? I don't know when his last like opportunity was. He was great in Melancholia, but like I don't know if I would have even nominated for that. But hey, if he were to win for this, that's a great career win. Like it's a good win for him, not being one of his Hollywood performances, it being like from his homeland.
Yeah, in personal preference, I wouldn't have him, obviously. I do love when people say like it's over because of precursors, because there's always one blip no matter what. And I as someone who thinks Sean Penn should win this award, I partly want him not to, just to screw with the pundits a little, that like, no, it is never over. Like that's the whole point of this. Like look at the ballots that have been coming out. There's people that have been skipping the animated features altogether. There's a bunch of stuff. Like this is not a reliable group of people voting. I don't know what they're going to do in any sense because I don't trust them. But beyond that, and in terms of Stellan's performance, yeah, I think he's intentionally not the villain of the story. Like he chooses his art over his family, which is basically what Paul Mescal does in Hamnet. And it doesn't mean he abandons his family, but his love, his passion is in his art. Now, for Hamnet, it's working through the trauma of what happens to his son and all that kind of stuff. And for Stellan, it is like his art is his life. And you get to watch that, like, he's a man who, I think if you put a gun to the character's head and said, what do you care more about, your family or your legacy? I think the way that question would be answered, I think that's a very particular question to ask that character. And obviously I'm not in the character's head. I don't know how he would answer that, but I don't think it would be the easy 100%. This is my answer. And I like that they don't hide that flaw in him. And I think that's what makes his character the most interesting. It's not that he's abandoned his family. It's not that he doesn't care about his family. It's that he cares so much about what he's done outside of it, that is who he is. And I think that's what keeps him, like Adriano said, from becoming a scumbag. And that makes him relatable in the sense, even if you wouldn't answer that question one way or another. I think that's what makes him truly, like, again, a realistic character, because there's a lot of people like that.
I admittedly wouldn't, like, I first watched the movie, I was like a little confused why we're doing like a detour to have him like have this conversation with like his like former DP. That kind of confused me.
One of my favorite scenes. I was gonna bring up that scene. I love that scene.
It's a fantastic scene, but admittedly I was kind of like, why are we taking this detour? And it kind of brings me to this thing of like, which I know he's a little older in age, and like, but it's like, all right, he just had a bit of a life altering thing happen, his ex-wife passing away, and now he's trying to, like, he's basically having a life crisis that he doesn't know how to fix, and he's doing what he thinks is right. And I mean, the whole movie is about, the movie has a whole thing about, again, there's a lot going on in this movie about like healing through art, and how art takes a lot of time, like a family, like a home, which we haven't even mentioned yet, how that home plays a character. And I just love that they just have this thing where like he genuinely thinks this is the way to do it. Like, this is the best way to go at it, is to make this movie about his daughter. And that's so interesting.
Yeah, I would say, just to push back a little bit, I don't know if he's exactly like Paul Mescal's character in Hamnet, where in that movie it was his wife, Jessie Buckley's character, who was she saw how unhappy he was at the house and said, you have all this art in you. You need to go to London to do that. Stellan Skarsgård's character, Gustav, he chose to leave. He chose to leave his wife and work on his art because that's what he wanted to do. And it's not that he didn't like his family or his kids. It's just that is what would have made him happy in that moment. And to compare this to another character he's played in the past, and I think the quote that this character says in the movie sums up exactly how Gustav feels. If you've seen Pirates of the Caribbean, Dead Man's Chest, when Bootstrap Bill is talking to his son, he's like, leaving you and your mom was the hardest thing I ever had to do. But I'd be lying if I said it didn't make me happy. That is what he wanted to make film. He wanted to make art. When he's talking to his daughters in the moment, he's like, you and your sister are the best things I've ever done. But I had to go make this art to be happy. Like, he loves them so much. He really does. You can tell he cares. He wrote this whole movie for his daughter. When you get to like the climax of that and what that actually meant, the things he knows that she didn't even realize he knew, he loves them, and he's trying to express it in his own way, so to speak. And that's part of the realism. Everybody's not a perfect person. Everybody can't express love the same way or how you're supposed to. My father-in-law had a conversation with me once about like how he expresses love. And he says, sometimes I think I'm just broken. I don't love in the exact way like you see it in the movies. But he's a very loving man. So I think that aspect of his character was great. And in terms of like, if he won the Academy Award, I'd be fine. I think it's a lock for Sean Penn, but if the votes are split and Sean Penn has what, 2 already?
2
Yes,
already.
yeah.
2. So they could be like, he has 2. Give Stellan 1. I'd be fine with that. I do think, even after sitting on it, I do think Stellan's performance is slightly better than Delroy Lindo's. So I would put him as next in line to win. And again, I think, especially at this part, we just saw Jamie Lee Curtis win an Oscar. She didn't deserve it. I think he deserves this if he does win.
Emma Stone has 2.
She deserves one of those.
No, well, these are both.
But
I think I was just gonna say, I think that as I was sitting here and I made the Paul Mescal comparison, actually, I think the comparison probably would be Jay Kelly, who is more similar in that sense, that made the choice to go and do his art to make him happy and to give him this fulfilled life. And that's maybe a better comparable in that way. But in the same sense with Jay Kelly, at no point do you feel like this guy doesn't care about his daughter. This guy doesn't care about his family. Like, he's not, it's just like you said, Harrison, it's just, he doesn't know how to express all of that, which I think is another thing that spotlights the realism of this film, is that sometimes you just can't.
Yeah.
And
sorry, go on.
No, and that's what Stellan does really well. Like, I never hated him in this movie, just like I never hated Clooney and Jay Kelly. Like, they're not villains, they're just flawed. And I think having your good guys be flawed makes them more interesting.
And I think is enhanced by the fact that you actually learn his history, his family, his mom, his aunt, the things in his life that brought him to where he is now. How all of that pretty much molded the adult man you see here today. You're like, I can kind of see why he's the way he is.
It's funny you mentioned Jay Kelly, like that character Kelly. Like, I think that movie is not amazing, but that's actually not a bad comparison at all, where it's like two people who have made mistakes because of filmmaking that have made them, like, I don't know, a bit of an interesting figure in the people they actually care about. And in both cases, a death, a big death in their lives makes them have this crisis. I think the big difference is, and I don't even say this as an insult to Jay Kelly, it's just two different movies. Jay Kelly as a character is a lot more, not like a despicable, but definitely a lot more like unlikable.
Unlikable, yeah.
Yeah, and that's what Jay Kelly is what Sentimental Value is. Two different things. But that is such a key difference in the elevates Skarsgård's performance. Kelly's character is by design not very likable. Skarsgård's character, very flawed and very easy to see what his problem is. It's pretty likable. Like, that scene where he's playing with his grandson and making a little movie with him. It's like, he's such a nice guy for a drunken, disloyal man.
Yeah, this is, to me, the culmination of Stellan's career, of just a whole bunch of characters that are likable despite that they are kind of selfish and kind of have to sacrifice something for the things that they want to do. Between his character in Andor, who never gets to see the sun. You mentioned Bootstrap Bill, fucking Gerald from Good Will Hunting. Stellan does that so damn well, where he is low-key a dude who does things that are not great, but presents it in a way that you end up liking him and you end up understanding the decisions that he makes. And this is one of the very first times I can think of where he is the person front and center. He is what this, between him and Renate, of course, but he is the focal point of everything in this movie. Everybody goes back to Gustav. So him being able to put that at full display, I understand, is like, yeah, of course we're going to nominate him. Of course, like him doing what he does at his best, at full capacity. It shows why he has a shot. Or even if he doesn't have a shot, people have been discussing him, why he already won an award beforehand. And I'm very happy to see him get his due. Adriano, I want to go to you for final thoughts. Just anything we haven't mentioned or any final thoughts on the film in general.
I mean, I think it says a lot that even though we have varying opinions on this film, we all talked about how this film has so much that it's tackling about people. And again, I would definitely say watch Worst Person in the World. A lot more, for lack of a better term, simple. Like, it's about one person going through a certain crisis. But it's I think what this movie does so well is take all these like broken, like human concepts, make it about art as a whole. And it's not even, it doesn't even end on this thing of like, oh, they did it, they're healed. It ends on a note of, all right, they're still pretty broken, but they'll get there. And I love an ending like that more than just they did it. So I think this movie's pretty fantastic. If it won anything, any of its awards, I would be happy, including and especially best editing, which we didn't mention. The editing is actually unbelievable. Yeah, I think this movie's fantastic. It's one of my favorites of the year. Seen it 3 times.
Okay. Nick, what about you?
Like I said, I respect the filmmaking. I think it's a very well-made movie. I think it's filled with really good performances. It just comes down to how you were emotionally affected by this film. And if you were someone who is unable to make that emotional connection to it, you will probably like this film a lot less than someone who, either by relation or just by being able to connect with these characters and their story. That is a hallmark of what you need to love this film. And unfortunately, I never got there.
And Harrison, bring us home, sir, and let the people know where they can find you.
Again, I enjoyed the movie very, very much. An emotional roller coaster. There are a couple of things I would need to confirm for me, just 'cause I don't know if I was remembering correctly. Gustav's mother, did she commit suicide and was successful? And then his daughter tried to commit suicide and was unsuccessful. Is that what happened there?
Essentially.
Do believe
Essentially.
So, yes.
So yeah, there was a poeticness in that. And also Gustav's mother, after coming back from, her torture camp, her profession was a psychologist, and he ended up marrying a psychologist. The girl's mom, she was also a psychologist, right? Or psychiatrist, not psychologist. Is that?
Yes.
It could be.
I think so. If I'm remembering that correctly, I was like, wow, this is very poetic. How people, how the phrase people end up like, you're marrying your mom or you're marrying your dad. Just how emotional or generational trauma is passed down from one generation to the next. People do things that they didn't care for that their parents do. They end up doing it themselves. So like I said, a very emotional roller coaster. Very much. If you can handle reading subtitles, I think it is a movie you can watch. Again, I think this is a film that'll be remembered by critics more so than your normal moviegoers, as with most Oscar movies anyway. But I think it is one worth watching, and it is better than The Secret Agent. And you can find me online at Movie Guru 23. If you want to follow the site, is at FlixRock. I do have one question to wrap this up for you guys from me. Is it official that Elle Fanning is better than Dakota Fanning as an actress?
Yeah.
I
Big
think
decided.
So. I think so.
Yeah.
I've been starting to think that for a while, but I think that Dakota doesn't really do a lot anymore. She's kind of like sparsely in movies, and I've like, maybe if she wanted to do more.
I thought she was okay in Equalizer 3.
The Ripley show. I thought she was
hated that show.
That's about it.
Hated that show. My question now becomes, Elle Fanning is definitely better than adult Dakota Fanning. Is she better than child Dakota Fanning? Because Man on Fire, Dakota Fanning is fucking amazing.
Yeah, that's tricky.
I think we don't have this. I don't think Elle did enough as a kid to say that she's better than her sister when they were younger. So I think if Dakota were more serious about acting now, it might be more neck and neck, but she's kind of letting her sister take the reins and sitting on her big pile of money. So
not a bad life to have at all.
Yeah.
And not a bad thing to watch us continue to do this. I appreciate everybody for checking in with us again. Continue to check in with us later down the road for more Best Picture nominees, 10 movies, 10 days, 10 podcasts. But for Harrison, for Nick, and for Adriano, we are out of here. Peace.